Hey guys, today we are going to be learning about try except, and it's a way to prevent your program from crashing if there's an error. So let's just kind of go through what I have on the screen right now. So starting over here, I just have this folder, and this is my Python file that you see right here. And I just have these two text files in the same directory, in the same folder. And tuna is just a text file that says I like tuna, and salmon is a text file that says I like salmon. So we're not doing anything fancy here. So let me just walk you through the code. So to start off, we're going to ask our user to input a file name, and we're going to store that name in a variable called file name. And then we are going to open that file, and we are going to read all the text from that and then print out the text. And I'm not going to cover this again, but I did do a video on reading from a text file if you need to rewatch that. And then after we print the content of the text file, we're going to print by. So showing you how this runs. Bring this guy over. So enter file name. I'll say tuna.txt. And it says I like tuna. And then it says by. So that's neat. We can, here just to show you, I can say salmon.txt. So now I'm kind of dynamically picking which text file I want because I'm picking the text file after my program started running. So that's kind of neat. So let me show you a problem and then we'll talk about fixing it. So let's say I made a typo or something like that. Well, it crashes my program. I no longer even see it tell me bye now. So this is what we're going to fix. We're going to tell Python, hey, if something happens and you are going to crash, do this instead. So the first thing we need to look at is why it crashed. And it says there is no file or directory, saman.txt. And it happened on this line. So basically, when we tried to open a file that didn't exist, it crashed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, Python, I want you to just try your best to do this stuff. Try your best to open the file. If you can, continue on. But if at any point in here you crash, I want you to do something else. Instead of crashing, I want you to print, you made a typo, dummy. So now, if we run this, I can show you what happens. So that looks like a good file name. It says you made a typo, dummy, and we still see by print out. So this is the big difference here. Our program no longer crashes. We just say, oh, something went wrong here. Let's do this instead. That way we can continue on like normal. So let's say we didn't want to be quite so rude, or we wanted this error message to actually be kind of useful. What we can say is except exception as E. And this E could be anything. That's just kind of convention to call it E. So basically, you take the error message and you store it in whatever you call this variable. So I called mine E, so I'm going to print E after that. So when I run this, and we see the error message from up here. It's the exact same text. So that's kind of cool. That can be really useful in bigger projects when you're trying to debug stuff. But let's also look at this bit. So up here it says file not found error. So there's different types of errors. And before we move on, errors and exceptions are basically the same thing. There's a little bit of a difference, but for us, it doesn't really matter. Same thing. So we can actually get more granular with what we want to accept. Let's say we only wanted to print E if we couldn't find the file, not if like we made a typo in a variable name or something like that. So the way we do that is we say except, and instead of just any exception, we specify we are specifically accepting the file not found error. And if it changes colors, that's a good sign. So now we only stop when we can't find the file. So if we run this, nothing should change because we're still, our file is just not being found. But we can make an error up here artificially. So before we print content, I'm going to say print file name, but I'm going to make a typo intentionally. So this does not exist. So when we run this, if we type a valid file name in here, then you see my program still crashes at this line. So if I look over here, this line is in a try except statement, but because it's not a file not found error, you can see we got a name error. And I'm not accepting name errors, so it crashes just like it wasn't in a try except in the first place. So I know this might seem a bit abstract, but it does come in handy. So it's just good that you're aware that it exists. So I hope you learned something. I hope you play around with this kind of dynamic picking of files. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.